This is the Pet Buzz.
This is the Pet Buzz.
And here's the Dynamic Pet Duo.
And joining us today to talk about dirty cities and how they affect pets is Lawn Starter's managing editor, Jeff Herman. Jeff, thanks for joining us on the Pet Buzz today.
Glad to be here.
Well, Jeff, I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question. So why would pet owners want to know about the dirtiest cities in America?
Dirty cities affect our air quality and our way of life, but they also affect our pets too. So poor air quality can affect their breathing. It can lead to shorter life. And it just means that you have to clean them more often too.
Yeah, and spend money on getting your dog groomed.
Well, the groomers like that.
Yeah, of course they do. I mean, in turn, it makes the economy go around. But, just think about the arrangement times and the mess in your apartment.
All right, give us the list. So what are some of the dirtiest cities in America?
Well, Los Angeles, Newark, New Jersey, Houston, Texas, San Antonio, and New York are some of the dirtiest cities in America.
Oh, big cities. What about some small ones that are dirty?
Small ones, Palmdale, California. It's a suburb of Los Angeles. Then you've got Glendale, California, Mesa, Arizona, Fontana, California, Pasadena, California. Lots of California places. Fort Worth, Texas, and Dallas, Texas, which is kind of where I live. They're dirty too.
Wow.
This is kind of interesting when you mention California because they've made such a big effort out there, at least publicly, to try to make their environment very clean. Yet they're the biggest culprits. Is that correct?
Yes, I think it's mostly smog related. That's a big part of it. Smog related, and then just bugs. It's a warmer climate where you have roaches and other ants, other pests that get into the environment.
So natural hazards, not necessarily man-made.
Well, it's interesting about air pollution because studies show that, obviously air pollution affects us, but it also affects our pets. And people who are subject to a lot of air pollution are at greater risk of cardiovascular disease, respiratory symptoms. They are coughing, wheezing, have shortness of breath, various ailments like tightening in the chest. And what I find so interesting about that, some of the more popular breeds of dogs, like your French bulldogs, very popular in California and throughout the country, as well as your English bulldogs, and also popular cats like Himalayans and Persians, which we have. And, I have English toy spaniels, also flat-faced breeds of dog, have a problem with respiratory issues. So it's kind of interesting that, in those cities where the numbers are high for flat-faced pets, you also have a lot of air pollution.
And so what's your question?
My question is, it was really not so much a question. I wanted to know about the air pollution, but Jeff answered the question in terms of, but I will say this, Jeff, I'm surprised by Mesa, Arizona. I was just assumed Arizona was super clean and dry. And
yeah, what's the issue there?
It's just the air quality is worse than we thought there, according to the US EPA. So I guess it's smog and pollution. And they have these really weird dust storms in Phoenix and Mesa, Arizona, that creates a lot of dust in the air that gets in our lungs.
Sure. Okay. You had
a lot of natural made issues, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So why do pet owners need to know about those pesky pets, rodents, filled cities, as well as roach motel cities, etc.?
I thought that was the funniest thing, roach motel cities.
Well, when you're sharing your house with roaches, that gets into their food and in their water, and that can contaminate their food and water. And if roaches are hungry enough, they will feast off of your pets, and that will cause skin irritations. So you want to be very careful when you have pest problems in your home to make sure that you get rid of those roaches and any rodents to make sure that your dog and your health is paramount.
So what are those roach motel cities?
The roach motel cities are in the South. I've lived in some of them, and you're familiar with some of them from Sarasota. It's Tampa, it's Dallas, it's anywhere where you have roaches all over the place. In many cases, they're palmetto bugs, but it's roaches. There are so many varieties of them. Anything in the South has more of a problem with roaches. And if you look more north in New York City, you've got rats and you have rodents. Remember pizza rat? So you have problems in different areas with natural predators and natural critters.
Jeff, as it gets a little colder, it sure does drive those rodents inside, doesn't it?
It really does. Now, and what cities are rodent filled? I mean, I would assume somebody like New York is. right? Chicago.
Right. It's all those big urban cities. And they say that since the pandemic and we're staying more at home, we're eating more at home, we're letting our trash pile up, which is leading to more roaches and more rats and more everything from, uh, raccoons in areas of Austin. They're trying to get into your trash. And it's a problem because of we're just collecting more trash because of the pandemic.
I mean, think about the Super Bowl party and all of the food and all of the trash that was left over that I literally had to clean up, as tired as
You
I
mean the
was.
Super Bowl party with mask and
Yes, and the air
social
sanitizer
distancing
and very
all
few
that
friends.
that everybody did, of course, right?
Right, of course, but still, like all the food. I'm thinking about like all the food left over,
Sure.
and I could see that. I mean, I could see people because they're home more, cooking more. A lot of people we know don't necessarily want to go to restaurants because they're afraid of a spreader restaurant meal, so they're cooking more. So it's really important to put the trash out. And then you also have the expense of the exterminator. And if you try to do it yourself, I mean, you see every year pets that have eaten rat poison.
Much more effective having an exterminator come in.
Exactly.
Much more effective.
Well,
Jeff, this is great information, and I'm sure our pet owners weren't even thinking about this, but they will now, and we really appreciate you coming and visit with us today.
Thanks so much. Glad to be here.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Pet Buzz.